guys, snow phone time. Time to give the Voge 900 DSX a good clean, try and get these alloys clean again and get it scrubbed up. It's a beautiful sunny day here in southern Spain, high of 24 today, really good forecast for the weekend. Going on a ride out tomorrow with 3 other couples, so there's going to be 4 bikes with all with pillion. And what I'll do later on today, and I'll tag it onto this, I'm going to do the 12-month review of the Voge 900 DSX. It's not exactly 12 months, we've got a couple of weeks till I've owned it 12 months, but it's such a beautiful weekend that I thought I'd do the review today and give you my long-term views on the bike. So join me later in the video and we'll talk about the things I like and how I've been with this bike over the 12-month period and what revelations and thoughts I've got about the bike. So I'll catch up with you later in the video, guys. So guys, she's pretty clean. We give her a good clean over. One of the hardest parts to clean on this particular bike, the Voge 900 DSX, and the same with the BMW models, the F series twin cylinder BMs that have the same wheels, the gold alloy wheels. And what I suggest, and I've no affiliation whatsoever with these products, I suggest you use the Red X wheel cleaner, and I use Ultimate Snow Foam to foam the bike. Excuse me, guys. Now the Ultimate Snow Foam, when you buy it here in Spain, it is expensive. It's 22 euros for that little tub. There's about a litre in there maybe, and initially you think it's really expensive, but see the black cap on the top? You pretty much just need a capful in the foamer bottle in your jet wash, and that will do a whole vehicle, whether it's your car, your bike or whatever. And I've just got to chamois it down a bit, but you can see the wheels are back to somewhere near the original condition now, and I can wash it, I can jet wash it, I can snow foam it, but if I don't use the Red X wheel cleaner, I just don't get a result. I just have really clouded over wheels. So guys, I'm going to chamois it off a bit more. I've got a few chores to do with the wife, and when I get back later on I'll do a 12-month review and talk about this bike in further detail. So catch you later, guys. So guys, as I said earlier on, I'd get round to doing the 12-month review of the Voge DSX 900 or Voge DS 900X, or whichever variant you want. On the web pages here in Spain and a few international web pages, it's known as the 900 DSX or the DSX 900. So 12 months, not quite 12 months, a couple of weeks off for 12 months. Currently heading towards 7,000 kilometers on the bike, and I've been using it in conjunction with other bikes, so we've been putting some mileage on all of the bikes. So right, first things first, I made a list of things that are more important and pertinent to this particular bike, and things I found out that I like and enjoy. And we'll talk about the specifications of the bike, how it's holding up after 12 months, and my own personal findings with the bike. Right, to start with, components. Now, components on any bike are more important to the bike than the sum of all the parts, so the bodywork, the peripherals, etc. The components of the bike are what keeps the bike going, so the engine, gearbox, suspension, brakes, etc. So the components on this particular bike are high quality components. We know the engine is a tried and trusted Lonsin engine that's used by BMW in their parallel twin line, the F series line, and also the 900 series before the F900 GSA. So we know the engine's tried and tested. We know the configuration of the engine is slightly detuned than the F900 GSA by about 5 horsepower. Again, I've said that in the past, that's designed so it can have the A2 certification, whereby you downgrade the bike to half of its potential, and the maximum you can have on a A2 bike is 47 brake horsepower. So that's the reason for that. So components on the bike. So we know we've got the BMW engine, or the Lonsin engine made for BMW. We know we've got the same rolling chassis, the same wheels, same gearbox basically. The quick shifter is slightly different in its variation to the BMW version. We've got Kayaba forks that work with the suspension to make the ride super comfortable. We've got top of the range braking on the bike, so we've got Brembo brakes, and we've got top of the range tyres for street use. Now I say for street use because the Scorpion Pirelli tyres that are on this bike are really grippy on asphalt, tarmac. They can be a bit sketchy on sand and gravel, and certainly they're not up to any serious off-roading. But all in all, the components that make this bike what it is, the Bosch CPU, all the components that make a bike, its running components, etc., are top notch on this particular bike. So components also add up to high quality components, also add up to good residual values and good confidence in the bike. So here in Spain, that's certainly been the case. After 12 months, there are a few for sale. They're not a massive depreciation on the original price. As soon as you move any vehicle out of a cellar or a garage, you're going to lose the EVA here in Spain, or V80 in the UK. That doesn't seem to be the case on the whole. People are trying to recoup as much as they can, and to be honest, some bikes are selling even though the 25 version is now available. So longevity, residual values, pretty much guaranteed with the components that are on this bike. Now, features on the bike. After 12 months out, the features holding up. So the main features I want to talk about are cruise control. Cruise control has been faultless, very easy to use. It's not had any glitches. It's been perfect on, off, setting it, turning it off. So the cruise control is a really nice feature that is not a required feature, but it's one that's well worth having. It's usable. It's a feature that I use an awful lot, especially on longer journeys. The quick shifter is a bit of a bone of contention. It's a lot smoother for me on the 4.7 update. I've heard a few rumours of people who have said the MY 25 version is almost perfect with the quick shifter. I've got no thoughts on that because I haven't tried the newer model. It's basically the same model with a few upgrades. So until we get further research on that, it's obviously operating on a different software update to the 4.7. It's a new software update totally. Whether that software update will be compatible with the 24 model it remains to be seen. As soon as I have any information on that, I'll let you know. So the quick shifter is something that I can take or leave. I have used it. It works okay. 4.7's made it usable. It shifts up and down, no problem, providing you're in the right rev range to shift up and down. Quick shifting, as the name denotes, if you're going fast and you're going through the gearbox pretty quickly, the quick shifter going up certainly works very good. Going down, what I find, you need to be in a lower rev range to downshift without getting a clunk. But it is usable if you learn how to use it correctly. And again, a useful feature. I'm pretty much old school, so most of the time I don't use it unless I'm riding solo and in sports mode. The radar on the back is tremendously useful. A lot of the time you're not going to be aware of the radar apart from the lane avoidance or the obstacle avoidance that's coming up either side of you with the amber triangles that are in the wing mirrors. They're going to give you the heads up that there's something in your blind spot, so you're not going to pull out either way. A lot of the features that you're not aware of all the time that the radar's using is vehicles getting too near to the rear of you. Your hazard warning lights will automatically come on. If you're braking quite sharply, your rear hazards will also come on if you're braking sharply, as will your rear brake light. It'll flash very quickly as opposed to a solid brake light. So functions like that, if anyone pulls too near to you at the back, straight away, I've had it a few times and I've thought, I've actually forgotten that the function's there. I've often thought, what's going on? Have I hit the hazard warning lights by mistake? And what it is people coming up to you quite sharply behind within a dangerous limit of meters behind the bike, and the rear hazards are coming on to warn them to back off. It self-cancels, it goes off on its own, you don't have to switch it off, but a few times I have switched it off on the dash itself. Heated seats. As you know, I'm in Spain, southern Spain at the moment, currently 24 degrees. We've got a really good weekend forecast. So it's not something I've used a lot, but I will say that we were out over the last couple of weeks going into high and mountainous country, and I've used the heated grips on too, and I've had the heated seat on too. So I have used it from the spring when I first got the bike in April, right the way through currently till within a few weeks ago, you know. So all the winter section I've used it. The previous spring when I first got it, I used it, and I've used it a bit this spring. So a really useful feature that you'll find useful, and again has been faultless. all the features that are on the bike. There's been no glitches at all with the bike. The only glitch I've had with the bike is, I mentioned it in a post a few weeks ago. I was in a car park, I had a false neutral showing up on the dash. I came close to the bike with the keyless key in my pocket, turned the ignition on, saw that the end was illuminated, and stupidly, instead of leaning across and pulling the clutch in, I pressed the starter button. It was in a false neutral, it was in either first or second. The bike lurched off the side stand, I should say, and canted over, and I managed to keep it off the floor. It didn't go on the floor, it kept the weight, and my friend pulled it back up and we got it back on the side stand. As soon as I got the bike upright again, there was an engine warning management light that came on the dash because it recognised the tilt over on the bike. It's a safety feature. If the bike goes off, there's an automatic cut off for fueling on a tilt. So yeah, that came on. It took about 3 or 4 ignition cycles on and off for it to free itself, so I didn't have to put an OBD on it or take it to a main dealer or anything. So that's the only glitch I've had mechanically, electronically, but again, it was down to a fault on the tip over. Build quality is the next thing after 12 months. So how's the build quality holding up? Now, the general build quality is good. I'm in a dry climate, as you know, although we have had a month of rain. The build quality all around is fairly good. The components are fairly good. What I would say, the only thing that, it's not bad, but it's not premium. It's not the same build quality as, say, a premium Honda. And I say premium Honda because there are some cheap Hondas made in Asia that aren't made in Japan. So the build quality is on par with Suzuki in my book, not on par with some higher brand build qualities. There's nothing rusting on my bike, there's nothing corroding, but what I mean by build quality is this: the plastics with a faux carbon fibre on. They're a very, very hard, probably recycled plastic. And the only thing I can liken them to is we own a Dacia Duster, and again, I was talking about components as opposed to the car itself. The components in the Dacia Duster, tried and tested Renault 1.5 diesel engine, bulletproof components, but again, the interior, hard plastics, Utilian plastics. Now, these plastics are great if you keep on top of them. You can get plastic regenerator to spray them, etc., and look after them. The only problem with this type of hard plastic, if it does get a knock or a bang, these are not going to be flexible and take a knock and spring back. You're going to shatter them, and they're going to shatter and break, and you're going to have to get new components. Now, new components for the bike, a lot of people, especially over the last 12 months, said, if I drop the bike or I need this or I need that, where will I go? Well, you can go directly to Voge. You can go to your Voge dealership. In the UK, it's going to be a subsidised Voge dealership under an importer, which is MotoGP. In Spain, we've got a dedicated Voge network where you're going to be able to go in and order parts. But saying that, the best way, I think, and you don't have to go this route, there's a web page called Uncle Wang, and it's a Chinese website, and those guys who've already got this will know of the site. All components for Chinese bikes, so CF Moto, Voge. He does an awful lot of accessories for these bikes, so different seats, everything you can think of. But there is a subnote on their page that says any component or any part of your bike that you want, OEM, if you send them a request and you show them the picture of the part you want, they will get the part for you. So any part is available directly in China. The only caveat to that is you're going to wait a week, 2 weeks for it to ship to you. But the Mr. Wang or the Uncle Wang webpage, if you're not bothered about going to a Voge dealer and you want to go direct, go to him, tell him what part you want, and within a couple of weeks you'll have the part. Any part on the bike is available. So, build quality, moving further on. The wing mirrors are great once you tighten them up. Mine have come loose a couple of times. Again, the caveat with this is you've got the blind spot illumination in the mirrors, so you've got a wire that runs internally through the mirror. So if you wanted to change these mirrors for some fold-in mirrors, if you're going to do a bit of trail riding and off-road on it, you'd lose the ability. You're going to have to take these cables out and put a different mirror on. If you want to keep the blind spot illumination on the mirrors, which works in conjunction with the radar, you're going to have to stick with the original mirrors, unless Uncle Wang or other sites come out with an alternative that takes the wire in to go through to the light on the mirror. So the mirrors are okay, very functional. They give a decent wide view behind you. You have got the lane avoidance in the mirror itself, but they're not changeable to a certain extent without a caveat. Seat comfort. Now seat comfort, you may see from there, I can bring the camera, we'll have a walk around as I wind this video up, but seat comfort, you can see that I'm okay on the front seat. I've got used to it now, really comfortable. It's one of them things where, say you get a mountain bike, a push bike, you first get it, your backside's aching like I don't know what, but after a couple of weeks, muscle memory and everything adapts to that particular seat. So I'm totally used to the front seat. My wife still finds the back seat hard. These child pads we've got on, there was one on each of the seats when I first got it. Now one sits on the back seat and one is strapped around the back with the bungees that go under the seat. You can see there it goes up and round, and that goes against the already included backrest that's on the back of the box, but it's very, very hard rubber, that, and my wife finds it really comfortable as it is. So comfort, for me, all day riding comfort's not a problem. You may have a pillion, occasional pillion who's not used to the rear seat, and you might want to put some extra padding, or even get a custom seat. There's companies in Spain now doing beautiful custom seats. The only caveat again with that, you have to send your original seat in. You can have a heated element in the front and back if you do that. They'll make a seat to your specification, lower, higher, whatever you want. I think they run at around 250 euros, something like that here in Spain. Wheels, build quality on the wheels. Now the wheels, I believe, and I'm not 100% certain on this, but I'm almost 90% certain they're the same wheels as the BMW. They're the same construction with the spokes coming out the sidewall, so they're tubeless. They're a pain in the backside to clean, and at the beginning of this video you'll have seen I mentioned a couple of cleaning products that I use, and without the dedicated wheel cleaner they are a pain to get clean. So that's not a build quality issue, but it's an issue that you need to keep an eye on. Right, engine and gearbox. The engine and gearbox on the Voge 900 DSX, anybody who's ridden a parallel BMW will be very used to this engine, the engine note, the way it sounds. People who jump on this after being on an 850 GS or even the new 900 say it sounds and drives and rides exactly the same, albeit a bit lower in the seat height. Seat height is a lot lower than the F series, about 825 seat height on this, so it's quite low down. I can flat foot it both sides, no problem. So the gearbox, engine gearbox, the engine note out of the engine is a raucous sound. It's quite similar to a KTM or a Ducati, the Desert Storm or the KTM, bigger KTMs. You've got that same raucous parallel twin, if you like. This parallel twin with the 270 crank almost sounds like a V-twin when you're revving it, but you are aware of engine noise more so than, say, a Japanese bike, which is very, very quiet and smooth running. Not to say it's not smooth running, it's just a different experience. Gearbox, I find shifting with the gearbox is perfectly acceptable. Can be occasionally slightly notchy. On the whole, it's very, very smooth. Now and again, there is the odd notchiness to it. It's nowhere near as refined as my Super Meter 650, say. Right, the next category, tyres, brakes and suspension. Well, I've quickly crossed on that earlier in the video. The Pirelli Scorpion tyres are superb, even 2-up, providing you've got the tyre pressures right for extra weight on the back and extra luggage. The grip on them and the confidence on bends, you can take a long sweeping bend, especially with the steering damper on the front. Long sweeping bends are beautiful on these Pirelli tyres, providing you're on a good quality road. The brakes, the Brembo brakes, they're not as sharp as other Brembo brakes on the front, in my opinion, but that isn't a bad thing as well, because on the front of this particular bike with a long travel suspension, you do have a lot of dive on the front. And I did say in an earlier video that when you get used to riding this bike, try to use your rear brake as much as you can when you come into a slow stop, coming up to junctions, up to traffic lights, especially if you've got a passenger on the back. That will stop that front end dive. If you're used to using the front brake all the time, get out of that. Use them both by all means, but try and use your rear brake only for slow stopping at junctions and traffic lights, and you'll find the whole experience of coming to a stop is much easier. Brake with your right foot, because obviously the brake's on the right side, left foot out, ready to stop, roll to a stop and just land on your left foot. Soon get used to doing that, guys. But yeah, brakes, tyres, absolutely fantastic. The suspension as well, Kayaba suspension, tried and tested, fully adjustable front and back. Out of the factory, for me, it was pretty okay. I just twiddled around with the back suspension. You can harden or stiffen it on the back, depending if you've got a pillion or not. Very quick to do that. Just a few clicks either way changes it to your preference. Ride. So ride comfort for all day riding. So a lot of us buy these bikes for going on an adventure, a tour, and when you're doing that type of riding, you're often in the saddle for 2-3 hours at a time. I touched on that briefly with my wife on the back previously, but it's a long all-day distance touring bike. Once you get used to the seat, if you're jumping on and off different bikes and you're not on it all the time, you won't get acclimatized, or I should say, to the seat. But once you get used to it, it's a very soft seat, substantial enough for long rides that you're not going to need backside pain. Some people want to change it, make it softer, put a mesh on it, but it's personal preference. But for me personally, with an inside seam of 30 and a half maybe, I find it perfectly acceptable and comfortable for all day riding. So all in all, guys, after 12 months, my overall impression is that it's just got better and better with time. And I think we, as early adopters, took on the very early software version of this, and Voge, to be honest, did step up, albeit through third-party people putting out the software updates, and later through Voge dealerships. They stepped up with the updates, and we've gone from 4.1 right the way to 4.7 at the moment, and I'm sure that the new version that is on the current bikes will be available, and it may well even have the mapping, the screen mapping from your phone to the dash. I can't see any reason why they can't do that. It's just a software item. It's not anything hardware that's involved into the existing screen. The USB-C, the USB standard, and the standard cigarette lighter have functioned perfectly. You have to make sure you're on the right power on these to power up your Carpio Ride. If you're on I think there's 5 amps, I think, for the Carpio Ride. It needs to stop it glitching and going on and off. But both of the USBs on that side have worked perfectly. So I can wholeheartedly say after 12 months, it's definitely still a keeper for me. I really enjoy riding it. I enjoy riding it solo. I enjoy riding it with a pillion on the back. You have to be aware of the weight. If you've got a pillion on, the standalone bike that I've got at the moment is getting near 250 kilos before I jump on it with the equipment I've got on it. As soon as you put yourself and a passenger on, you're getting up to half a metric ton, so a bit of weight. As long as you're mindful of that when you come into traffic lights and slow manoeuvring, and obviously handling the bike, pushing it around, if you're mindful of that, there's no reason why anybody can't jump on it and ride it. So guys, I would give it a 100% as it is now with the latest software. Be interesting to get your views. Any of you guys who've got the MY 2025, I don't know really how you're going to compare to the 24 model unless you've sold the 24 model and upgraded to the 25 model, which would be a bit ridiculous really, having it for 12 months and then jumping on a newer version, because every year there's an incremental update. And yeah, I'll probably wind it up and leave it there, guys. Like I say, there's nothing really detrimental about the bike. It's the plastics and some components are built to a price point. Obviously, to keep the price as it is, it's half the price of a kitted out GS to the same specification. So you're looking, what, 8 grand here in Spain, 8.5 grand compared to 16 grand for the same kitted out version without the luggage, I would think. So guys, ride safe. If you've got any questions and you want to ask me any details of my thoughts or anything about this particular bike I've owned for 12 months, I'll be happy to answer those questions in the questions below. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe as always, and I will get some new videos out to you in the near future. I was looking at doing a few bike reviews, and I may still do that, but work's been pressing, and it's a case of prioritising different things, so obviously I've not had a chance to do a lot of videos. So ride safe, peace out guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.